Hold up. Alright, can you guys see me? Hold on. See? Okay, it is. Alright. Okay. Well, you guys. Okay, alright. Well, you guys, so. Yeah. Alright, you guys, well. As you guys can see by the title. We have when the Pawn Stars scam customers. Never thought that would be doing that, but alright, it's cool. It's good. See, can I get this thing? Can I? Alright, cool. Okay, cool. Alright, you guys. Hold on. Okay. So we got when the Pawn Stars scam customers. Y'all ready for this one? Let's get it.
To up your style game, check out HypeLitStore.com to find some of the latest trendy designs. With this space account.
Hold on. Alright, let's try that.
Galaxy hoodie, Oreo joggers, or vintage Rick t-shirt, among many others. Once again, at HypeLitStore.com. The real reason the Pawn Stars are cheap. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now let's look at some times the Pawn Stars seriously ripped off customers.
What? Oh, yes.
Cannon. A field artillery collector named Chuck came to Rick with his 1890 Hotchkiss cannon in the parking lot of the Gold and Silver Pawn, hoping to get a deal done. The Hotchkiss cannon originally was created in 1872 by Benjamin Hotchkiss.
Hold on. Can't fix this up. Let's try another angle real quick. So you guys, let's try to fix this up. Okay.
In response to the Franco-Prussian War, the model that was brought onto the show once again was manufactured in the year 1890, however.
Alright, that's not gonna work. Alright. What's a reaction video with that? Jeez, alright. Alright, let's go.
Only 50 of them were ever created, and it's been illegal ever since that batch for any more to be made. So, in modern times, they are quite rare. A weapons expert came onto the show to explain the history of the weapon.
How can I get this audio out of here? I don't know. Hopefully they don't get copyrighted.
Well as examine it to determine if it's authentic. It turned out to be genuine, as by looking at the cannon closely, there is wear from battle, plus rust indicating that the item was created nearly 130 years ago. Then the expert says that the cannon could easily sell for $40,000. To quote him exactly, he said, quote, "I would say $40K all day long." The owner, Chuck, is very pleased, as he then exclaimed out loud, quote, "I expected about $30,000. Whoops, in a negotiation situation, don't say that you would have been fine with something less than what is quoted by an expert, as Rick quickly took this opportunity to agree to $30,000 as long as the cannon fires. Which, okay, guarantees Chuck the money if it works properly, but he likely could have gotten that additional $10,000 if he had not made that comment saying he was expecting a total of $30,000 instead of $40,000. 1962 Lincoln. From season 1, Rick and Old Man got a crazy great deal on their end on a restored 1962 Lincoln Continental. The seller, Devin, said he did most of the engine work himself, but the reason he's wanting to sell is that he's, quote, put enough time and money into it that he's ready to say goodbye. He comes to the Pawn Star guys wanting to get $13,000 to $14,000. However, the interior is quite damaged, so he ends up selling it for $9,500. A little fun fact is that the car originally sold for $10,000 in 1962. Typically, classic cars in good condition don't sell for under the original price. Especially if you account for inflation, the car brand new would have sold for about $70,000 in $2009. Anyways, a discussion around if the purchase was a bad call came to be, as once again, the interior wasn't in the best of conditions, not awful, but definitely needed some work. The Pawn Stars guys got the interior restored for $15,000, meaning they spent a total of $24,500 to purchase the car and to make it brand new again. The car from that point was confirmed to be able to sell easily for $30,000 to $35,000, meaning Devin the seller lost out on about $5,500 to $10,500 in potential profit. 1984 Chris Craft boat. Hopping back to the beginning of the Pawn Stars series, Corey took what was supposedly a huge gamble on buying a 1984 Chris Craft boat for $16,500 before having an expert look it over. A major element of the show is that then the other main cast guys, typically just Rick and Old Man, make comments about how risky of a purchase it was, and how they're worried they won't make their money back. But then, a surprise, it's revealed that the boat...
It's not that. Man, this stuff is really interesting. Let me correct myself. Interesting. Got it. Get you guys in a better view. Damn. Ooh, got some light coming in. Alright, you guys. Got you good. Is this good? Alright, too much light. Let's see. Yeah, see me? Alright. Yeah, I couldn't see me. Nah. Oh.
only requires about $4,000 worth of restoration work for the boat to be then worth a total of $30,000 or more. The seller Dino came onto the show telling Corey that he bought the boat for $25,000 6 months ago and was hoping to get no less than $20,000.
What is it?
$5,000 6 months ago and was hoping to get no less than $20,000 for it from the pawn shop. Well, knowing that it would cost only $4,000 to restore the boat into pristine condition, Dino could have easily restored the boat and then sold it for $30,000 himself, resulting in an overall profit of at least $1,000. Instead, he sold the boat at a loss of $8,500 to Corey, as he didn't know what he was talking about, and nor did Corey. But everything happened to play out in the Harrisons' favor. Isaac Newton owned a book. This is a massive undersell that is meant.
Gotta figure out how to do this, man. Oh, I figured out later.
Usually due to ignorance, a man came into the pawn shop with a 450-year-old book on alchemy from Isaac Newton's library. Newton was an English mathematician, astronomer, theologian, author, and physicist who was widely recognized as one of the most influential scientists of all time, and a key figure in the scientific revolution, as read on Wikipedia. When the owner of this book came into the pawn shop, he had no clue what it should sell for. He said this, quote, "I don't know what the book is worth, but if it did belong to Isaac Newton, it should be worth thousands." Old Man called in his friend and expert in rare books to examine it, and it was verified to in fact be from Isaac Newton's personal collection, although it had been restored and rebacked likely sometime in the later 1700s. The rare book expert valued the book at $23,000. In response, $9,000 was offered. They ended up agreeing on the price of $10,300. Well, it turns out this book is worth much more than anything that was discussed on the show, as most of Newton's collections were destroyed, with most of their surviving books at Trinity College and Cambridge in England. This is a priceless piece of history. It should be stored with the other books.
I'm pretty sure Isaac Newton had to have been like one of the smartest people in one of his high school classes. Maybe even out of his graduating classes, you never know. Because as smart as he was, let's see. What did he invent? I'm trying to remember. I remember hearing about him in biology. Maybe middle school. Nah, high school science. What did he invent? I know he invented something that had to do with electricity or science. I forgot which one it was.
From the collection, as there aren't many of them left, and the seller likely could have sold it for a marginally larger profit than he did at the pawn shop, a little over $10,000 for one of Isaac Newton's personal books. And I want to clarify that this was not something he wrote, but it was a book that he owned, and I believe there were some notes throughout it, but overall, just wow. Vintage revolver. Rick Harrison loves guns, specifically antique guns, and in an episode, he bought an 1890s Colt.
But does it work though? That is the question.
.45 revolver, which Rick was quoted saying, "It'll sell better than just about any antique gun I carry." He truly was excited about the purchase, as he was aware of how much he could sell it for. With all this said, Rick and the seller agreed to a price of $3,000 for the revolver. A couple of things played into this price point. Mainly, a weapons expert valued the weapon at about $5,000. Another major thing is that the seller, during negotiation, let it slip out that he purchased the weapon for only $25. Yes, you heard that correctly. If you're looking to make the max amount of profit in a situation like this, don't say how much you originally got it for when it's that low especially. That made Rick think, well, a profit of $2,975 is incredible for this guy. It sounds like we're both getting a good deal here. With all this said, the true worth of the gun could be way higher. A very similar model sold at an auction in the year 1987 went for $242,000. Yes, I said that correctly. Nearly 10,000 times more than what the owner of this gun originally bought it for. Now, it was discovered that this particular model was not as rare as the one that sold for nearly $250,000, but it still is worth a lot more. The valuation range is quite large, starting at $2,000, going all the way up to $42,000. So yes, Rick's offer did fall into the range, but it very much so could be on the low end. If the owner had done some more research, perhaps he could have negotiated closer to the middle of the range, around $20,000.
Oh, what this was. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Samurai sword. From the 15th century, this ancient weaponry is a valuable item. The original owner was a lawyer who acquired it from a client who used it as collateral, and the client never followed up with payments, so the lawyer got to keep the sword. Corey Big Hoss was the one to take place in this negotiation. In backroom confessionals, it was admitted that he was quite aware of how much genuine samurai swords sell for, as he said that he's, quote, seen a few of these sell for thousands of dollars. He tried his best to get it at a grossly low price, in order to help the shop make as much profit as possible. Of course, that is always the ultimate goal. Corey's first offer was $800, a serious lowball. The owner said, quote, when he offered me $800, I wanted to jump up and dance, but I had to keep my cool, because the price was still going up. That feeling of rage was certainly warranted, and may have been the right choice, as while Corey and the seller agreed to $1,500 for the samurai sword, later an expert deemed that the item would actually be worth more like $5,000 to $6,000 in its current condition. If the sword is restored, though, well, the worth jumps up to well over $10,000. Restorations cost around $3,000. To keep that in mind, yes, Corey took a risk that many owners would jump up and do an angry dance about, but I guess he got lucky this time with this particular owner, and really ripped him off and made a major profit. Please let us know your thoughts on this video. Do you think these customers really got ripped off? In my opinion, they all seem like they have, as these were some pretty bad deals in their favor. Perhaps some of it could be blamed on the customers, as they had some slip-ups, like mentioning what they were hoping to get, or what they purchased the original item for. Those are things you should never do. Once again, in negotiation situations, don't throw out numbers until the person purchasing the item has. Then from there you can say, well, I was expecting something more like this, and typically give something higher, and then you can eventually settle on a price that is ideal for the seller. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.
Alright, well, that was pretty good. I liked it. Very interesting. Peace.